I born and raised in a Muslim country, in a Muslim family. So when I was 13, I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter what I do and how hard I'm trying, I cannot satisfy this God. So I basically said a goodbye to Allah when I was 13. Have to leave my country, forced to leave my country, basically. So much has happened. I learned so much, but I've done all of it all by myself.
What's up, guys? Super bummed to report to you that we had some camera issues for this episode. This was a phenomenal episode. It ended and I was just like, man, I can't believe I get to do this. This is so fun. And then I went to upload the video file and realized that I did the wrong file format. Or the wrong video format. So this would be one where it's probably better to do audio. Although if you do choose to watch the video, we will, it's just going to be missing some angles. This episode is phenomenal. I think it is so good. It's with Yasra, who is a refugee from Iran, and just her entire journey of how she got here to the States. Wow, it's super powerful. And I don't want you to miss it. It's really good. So anyways, it's a small show. It's just me running the cameras, the lights, sound, all of that. But thank you guys for following, for listening. I love hearing from you. I love hearing the feedback, that you're listening. That to me gets me so fired up for the next episode, and wants me to keep going. So I appreciate it and enjoy this episode. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Josh Doyle, and you're listening to No Longer Nomads. I'm so thankful you joined us. And on every Tuesday, we have new episodes we launch, and you can find the full video on YouTube or Spotify. And if you want to listen to the audio, you can do that on Apple, Spotify, and really all major podcasts. So fired up for today's conversation. We have Yasra in studio today. And Yasra, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Doing great. I'm so glad you could be here.
Thank you.
And I'm familiar with your story.
Yes.
From I Found the Truth.
Yes.
And so if you could tell the listeners who you are and a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Yasra, born and raised in Iran. I left when I was 16, 17. And I went to Cyprus, Turkey, and now I'm here in US.
Awesome.
It's been a fun journey for sure.
Yeah.
I learned so much. I feel a sense of loss sometimes, but...
A sense of loss, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Especially recently. We can definitely dive into that if you have any questions.
Of course, yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and what role did Islam play in that, and what made you guys decide to get out of Iran?
Yes. Okay. So, as I said, I born and raised in a Muslim country, in a Muslim family. And I remember my very first experiences as a Muslim woman and girl when I was 9 years old. And that age, you are starting to wear your hijab and you're going to school. You have to start worshiping and all the things.
Right.
So at that age, you literally start everything. So I remember that I have to start wearing hijab. And my Quran teacher was telling us about heaven and hell during those a year of school, especially to prepare us to learn more about Islam and what our role is as a Muslim girl.
Okay.
And a future Muslim woman. So she was talking a lot about our roles and heaven and hell and how it's going to look like. And she was encouraging us to completely cover our hair. So as a 9-year-old, we have to wear hijab to go to a school.
Right.
And I mean, the first year of a school, 7 years old, you have to start wearing your hijab to go to a school.
Wow.
No matter
7
what.
Years old.
Yes.
Man. I didn't realize it was that young.
Yes, it is that young. So basically, you got to start wearing your hijab whenever you go to a school, and the schools are separate from the boys, obviously. So even though that everyone in the school is a woman, you have to wear your hijab and you have to make sure that it's in a proper way.
So explain to the listeners why it's important for women to wear a hijab in Islam. Some probably know, but I'd be interested to hear from you.
Yes, I feel like, and at this, I'm speaking from my experience, it's just like to protect you as a woman in a way. That's what they told us.
Okay.
To protect us, but from who? From men.
Yeah.
Because we are tempting them. So we have to cover ourselves to not put them in temptation.
Wow.
So I have to wear hijab and make myself uncomfortable in a warm days as a 7-year-old to up every day when I go to a school for 8 to 9 hours. Have to make sure I'm wearing that, even though when I'm like to play, be loud and crazy, run around, get sweaty, all the things as a kid. And I have to make sure that my hijab is proper.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. Sometimes when I think about it.
Did you hate wearing that right when you were 6 to 7 or was it so normal or was it something you were ready for?
I wasn't definitely ready for it.
Yeah.
It was a struggle because sometimes it's just hard to put it on and you're just constantly moving in your head and like with your hair around. So it's hard.
Yeah.
Especially as a kid when you don't know how to protect yourself and how to put it on, how to make sure it's looking okay if it's not. Yeah. It's get messy when you eat.
Oh man. Yeah, sure.
So when you want to deep down to the reality of it, it's all of those things. But at the same time, you don't think about it because that's a norm.
Right.
You see
everyone
that
else around you is doing
everyone around you doing it. My mom, whenever she walks out of the house or get even the mail, she has to wear it. So it was like a norm. You don't really think about it. But when you come out of that and you see the whole picture, you just like, why?
Yeah.
You start questioning everything.
Wow. So how long were you in Iran? You grew up there.
Yes.
Were you practicing family as well? Were you practicing family or would you say you were more secular or just kind of more traditional?
Yeah. I feel like we were more comfortable.
Okay.
Inside our family, not crazy about following any rules. Of course, my parents were Muslim and they were practicing everything, but they never forced anything to us. Okay. So even when my uncle was coming to our house, you have to wear your hijab. Yeah. Because he's not a family, like close family member, but we never done that. So it was a little bit more on an easier side of Islam for sure, inside of the house and with my family.
So if your hair was showing at school, would you get in trouble by teachers?
Absolutely. They will call on your parents. You have to come in and like your girl doesn't wear her hijab properly and you have to come and get them or this is not okay. They put parents in trouble to make sure you are following the rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, did a lot of girls around your age fall in line? Did they or did the hijab to them, was it kind of a nuisance and, not fun to get used to?
Obviously, it wasn't fun to get used to. And the fact that the thought behind it was not okay either because...
The what behind it?
The thought. Because you are trying to... because you're covering yourself for another human being. Yeah. Not necessarily for your own desire, which... Obviously, there are so many teachings that they try to brainwash you to do that. Sure. Like it's for your own protection. It's for your own good. Imagine like you're a chocolate and if the chocolate cover is open, all of these like mosquitoes going to come and have a bite and sit on it. Wow. But when you are a covered chocolate, you're untouchable. You are more desirable and like the right person come and grab it and like you are theirs at that point. But like...
Interesting. So you're taught that at a young age that if you don't do this, you're tempting other people.
Absolutely.
They don't have control of their themselves.
Yes.
Because you're the one putting them in this position.
Yeah.
As a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is a lot of pressure for sure. And especially when you grow up and you start developing to this young woman and lady, that's even more pressure too. Yeah. You constantly doubting every single decision, every single move that you try to do. And even though that my parents were so supportive, so encouraging to be the person that I am, but at the same time, half of my life is outside of the house.
Say that again.
Half of my life is outside of the house.
Yeah.
I hang out with people. I go to a school. I'll come back. I interact with the person who's selling stuff in a supermarket,
Right,
you know?
right.
So I go out and like my whole life is not in this little bubble of the house.
Wow.
So I interact with those people. I have to constantly be mindful of that. And I have to be able to either start learning how to protect myself and teach them in a way like,
Sure.
hey, you need to be careful too. It's
Yeah.
not all on me. Or you just have to, basically, I feel sometimes I have to shut up and obey and like move forward.
Okay. Wow. So there's so many ways I want to go with this. So, okay. So you're 7, Hijab. Tell me a little bit about how you felt and I actually did watch your I Found the Truth film, and how you felt about your hair, how you wanted to have your nails done and things like that, and how that was frowned upon.
Yeah.
Did you feel that pressure at a young age that I can't be who I want to be? Or was that even an option then? To be able to have your nails painted or things like that?
Yeah, it was an option, but a temporary nail polish. I have to make sure that I remove it before I go to a school.
So is that for all women? Doesn't matter the age? Okay.
Yeah, because when you worship Allah, you have to make sure that you don't have any nail polish, because you try to wash your hands and do all the things to prepare yourself to worship and be called namaz. For that, you have to make sure that there is no nail polish on your feet or your hands.
Wow.
Yeah.
So moving forward, when did you guys decide to leave Iran, and what made that decision? And about how old were you?
I was 16, 17. And I remember, so all of these questions just popping up on my head when I was 9 and like growing up till like 13.
Okay.
So when I was 13, I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter what I do.
Yeah.
And how hard I'm trying, I cannot satisfy this God. Every single move, it sounds like a sin. So either I'm just gonna move forward and just feel guilty all the time.
Right.
And I have to be feeling awful about the person that I am and I want to be, and as a woman, kind of. So I decided as 13 to just like, hey, if I'm going to go to hell, let me just at least live this life. So I basically said a goodbye to Allah when I was 13.
13, wow.
Yeah, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to live my life.
Because maybe the pressure you felt like you said you already knew you were destined for hell.
Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
that because of the kind of honor shame and kind of the good, bad deeds that were weighed or something? Or what was that in your head that you just knew at a young age? I mean, 13 is crazy to be like, wow, I know I can't live up to the standard. I'm going to hell. Yeah,
because I remember one day I was going out and I always had long hair. So I remember a little bit of my hair was showing through my hijab, like under my hijab. Like imagine if I'm wearing full on hijab, a little bit of my hair was showing. And someone pulled me aside in the street, was like, hey, you have to cover all of your hair. And they were so aggressive about it, like very harsh, mean, disrespectful. And I remember, like, I'm struggling every day for this piece of hair.
Yeah.
Every single day that I walk out of the house, I have to be fearful that either someone would grab me, tell me what I did wrong, and I have to make it more proper. All the things, and it's so hard to keep it on because it's constantly falling down. All of that. And I remember I was feeling like, you know what, this is one thing, but like the rest of the stuff that I'm doing, it's gonna be wrong too.
Wow.
Like we all know like lying is wrong, in any religion probably. So I remember I was like, oh yeah, I broke that piece of glass and I lied to my mom about it because I didn't want to be in trouble. So that's a sin. Showing a little of my hair is a sin. All the other little things, and like wearing nail polish and smell good because I'm apparently that's tempting too, having a perfume on. So all of that little things was encouraging me to be like, hey, you're just going to end up in hell. Like, let's just not live that life anymore. If that's the destination, at least release yourself now. Live the life that you want to live and move forward and see you. I'm going to see you in hell anyway.
Wow. So is that a common response for young folks in Islam, that they would maybe feel that way as well? Or maybe they wouldn't say it outright, but maybe they feel it internally?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, me and my friends, like, we obviously have so much fear to speak up and like share these stories and thoughts.
Yeah.
But when you go deep down, like I've like a little conversation, I don't remember exactly what, but I remember have this type of conversation with my friends, and they were like, yeah, it's not really comfortable, but like, what are we going to do about it? And Islam is a very fear-based type of religion. Even when I was asking questions about Islam from my Quran teacher, she wasn't able to answer all of those questions. And she was constantly saying like, well, if you're going to ask more questions, you're going to drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
And there is no answer. Just move on. Like, live your life. It is what it is. You're born a woman. It is what it is. That's it. That's your life.
Wow. So, and you grew up in a pretty religious city. What city did you grow up in?
Isfahan.
Okay, so very religious city.
Yeah.
Did you feel the pressure then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a very religious city, as you said. I remember right before I leave the country, a few months before that, and that was one of the factors that was encouraging my parents a lot more to help me to get out of the country, was I was going out with some of my friends, and there were these bosses in the street.
Okay.
And they take the girls who didn't have the proper hijab in their own eyes.
Yeah.
They put them in these buses, take them to who knows where, who knows what's going to happen to them.
Really?
Take your phone. Your parents not going to know for a few days or weeks or months where you are. Oh, absolutely. And then they either find you dead or they will come and get you. So
I mean, I realize with a lot of stuff currently, just how, you know, the morality police and things, that they're on top of it right away. Yeah.
They've always been.
So, wow, I didn't realize it was that in depth though. They would take you for a couple of days or longer.
Oh yeah.
That's insane.
Because they say like, if that's what you want, we're going to give you what you want. You basically, you are, I don't know how to use a proper language that it doesn't sound bad. You basically, and I'm so sorry for saying that, you basically want to be a prostitute. So that's why you're dressing like this. So you don't deserve any respect.
Yeah. Wow. So the pressure you felt, and then take us into, you said when you guys decided to move, what made that decision for you to move from Iran, and tell us a little bit about that.
Literally, the morality police was the huge factor of that.
Okay.
And my parents were scared because at that age, I remember I was allowed to hang out with my friends outside of the house for like only 2 hours.
Okay.
And obviously I was just growing older and older, and they wanted me to go out and have these life experiences and be able to be with my friends and like do all the things that is proper for that age.
Sure.
Like a normal human being.
Yeah. Let me ask you, do you have much access to outside media outside of Iran, or was it pretty much
everything is filtered?
Filtered.
Okay. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I remember back then it used to be dial-ups. So you have to buy those cards and be able to get connected to internet, and then you have to be able to buy some filters, like other things that they just break that filter for you to be able to connect it to other platforms.
Gotcha.
So yeah, everything is filtered, and like every single conversation is being heard over the phone, all of that.
Wow. The morality police, that was a big pressure for you guys, and why it felt like, okay, we need to get out of here.
Yes.
Was that something your parents felt as well? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they were scared every time that I go out. Who knows if I'm going to come back home or not. So they were feeling a lot of pressure too. And they were struggling to let me go outside and live outside, basically, life with my friends and like my our family friends and like even my cousins and all of that, because they were constantly worried for me and what's going to happen to me. So for that reason, they had to make the hard decision to helped me get out of the country. And I am the youngest in the family.
How many siblings do you have?
I do have 2 brothers and 3 sisters.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
We are a big family.
That's amazing. Are they here?
Awesome.
Are they in the States?
They are, some of them are in the States and some in Vancouver, Canada.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
Oh no, you're absolutely fine. So yeah, all of that, I am to this day grateful for the decision that they made.
Yeah.
Even though we all paid a huge price for it. I lost my father during these craziness of being separated, and last year I lost my mom.
Oh.
So I feel the biggest part of my life, when I needed them, I was separated. Either I was a refugee and I was fighting to be here somewhere safe, be in a safe country. And so I totally miss that. Obviously, I feel a sense of loss because they're not here.
Yeah.
But beside that, it's just not having them when I needed them. And I missed a huge part of my life, sharing those experiences that I was experiencing for the first time, being in a free country and growing up, all of that. We all need our parents at some point, you know? So especially this year when my mom passed, I was just feeling a huge sense of loss in that case, because I feel like we all went through so much just to be in this country that we feel safe and heard and be able to worship the God that we want to.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
So you're leaving Iran, and where did you guys land as refugees?
I went to Cyprus.
Cyprus.
And I've been all by myself. I had
you were by yourself?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I have my older sister and her husband in Cyprus. They been there a few years before me.
And your parents were in Iran
back then, yes. And I was the only one who got out of the country during that time. So
wow. I didn't know that.
Oh yes.
Golly. So you landed in Cyprus.
Correct.
And what was life like there? Did you miss home?
I absolutely miss home for the
family.
first.
Yeah, even
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I miss everything. I miss my city. I miss the food. I miss my friends. I missed my room, even everything that I built and I had as a teenager, I missed. And I remember I had my travel back ticket, like flight back ticket. And I was just like crying every day for 3 months, every single day. And I was calling my parents like, I want to come back. I cannot leave the life without you guys. Yeah. I want to, because I miss my friends. I miss school. I miss everything, even though that it was hard, but that's all I knew. Yeah. That's everything that I had. So I missed it, and I was just crying every day. But my mom was like, one day she was like, well, imagine that you're traveling for a year and call me back. Tell me about it then. Tell me how you feel. And if you are still feeling the same way, I will make sure you come back. Okay. And that was it. So I stopped crying. I was like, okay, it's just a trip. Let's just enjoy it. Let's just have fun. I know I know that I can go back.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day. Yeah. But that didn't happen. And I called and I was like, well, I'm very happy. Thank you guys for your decision.
I love it.
I love it. So yeah.
That's great. So your parents definitely made a sacrifice to get you 100%. Out. Did you feel that at the time, or do you look back now and go, man, they really did make a sacrifice for me to have a better life?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like they made a huge sacrifice for me to have a better life. And as I said, we all did in a way. My sisters and my brothers did, not having me around when the kids were born. And like, I miss all of those days too, because we all been in different countries. Yeah. They made a huge sacrifice. And to this day, I am so grateful for that. Yeah. Even though that I didn't understand it the first few months. And even after that. But I am so grateful for the decision that they made for me to be in a better situation, and hopefully they hope for a better future.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of pressure on me to make that happen sometimes too, because you basically owe that to them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I could only imagine. So how long were you traveling around? So you were in Cyprus and you traveled around for a year, and then where did you land?
I was in Cyprus for 5 to 6 years, and I had to go back to Turkey. And in Cyprus, I actually became a believer.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about that. So
Yes.
tell us about what made you want to make that decision. Was there something that stood out?
Absolutely.
About Christians? Would love to hear your thoughts there.
Absolutely. So I realized when I went to Cyprus, my sister and her husband already were believer. Even though they tried to tell us, because the phones are controlled, they never fully shared their story when I was in Iran. So when I went to Cyprus, I was like, things are different here. Like, they were different people.
Yeah.
Calm and happy with the little that they had. Because they were refugee too. So I remember they take me to church for the first time, and I was amazed. It was something that I never saw or experienced. Seeing these people worshiping God, singing, wearing whatever they want to wear. Obviously, I'm not saying like not be mindful about how you dress.
Sure.
I am to this day mindful about how I present myself and how I dress.
Yeah.
But I remember they would dress up, looking nice, perfume and cologne on, show up for the God who they created them and who loved them just the way that they are.
Yeah. So good.
I was just amazed by that. I didn't need to cover myself in front of that God just to be worthy of just talk to him. I didn't have to wash my hands, do all the things to prepare me to talk to him. It was an instant connection. Like, you show up, you start having this conversation. I am here. I am listening, and I love you so much. You are uniquely made, and you are my masterpiece, and you are the image of me. I am created you. Like, all of that, even when I think about it now, I am amazed.
Yeah. That
this was such a huge difference when I saw it. I was just like, honestly, when the first day I was just like looking at people, like just observing everything. Because they were worshiping God in Farsi, first of all.
Oh, wow.
Persian.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
They didn't need to speak Arabic.
Yeah.
And they were singing. They were worshiping. They were dancing, clapping, just pouring their heart out in front of God, just worshiping him for everything, from their own creation to everything that they are going through. And he is present and he's in control. I was just amazed by that.
Wow.
I was just like, that's amazing. You just show up.
Wow. So what did that do to you after you left church? I mean, was it completely eye-opening? Like, whoa, this exists out there?
Yeah.
And I'm sure like kind of, there was an attraction to that lifestyle, that freedom that, that you see, they can worship freely and speak the language they want,
yes,
all that.
All of that.
So what happened next?
I felt honestly like my brain was foggy. I remember to this day that I felt like it's confusing. Like, because my experience before that was totally different thing.
In Islam?
In Islam.
Oh, in Iran, okay.
Yeah, in Iran. But like seeing that, I was like, interesting. I had no idea as Persians, you can worship another God except Allah.
Yeah.
And you are welcome to do that. You have to just make that decision. And it was shocking, amazing,
Yeah.
I was confused.
Sure.
But I started asking a lot of questions, and the questions were welcomed. That was nice about it.
So in questions before were not, and we hear that all over the world, but whenever we're traveling, you hear that just that there's no, there's questions you have, there's no receptivity to that at all. Like, if you talk about anything from another religion, especially Jesus, you'll get, we've heard people get hit, get punched, that man, Jesus is the devil. Don't listen to him. Anything to just not answer questions about Jesus.
Yeah. Which is so sad. I feel like we need to open our hearts and open our minds to actually receive those questions. And if you don't have an answer, it's totally fine, but just don't shut me down just because I do have an answer. Right. I do have a question. So the fact that I was able to ask those questions, and thank God for my pastor back then, he was just like, whatever he didn't know, he was just like, well, I don't know the answer to that. Let me go pray and I will do research and I will get back to you. But the rest of the stuff, it was just like, this is how you're supposed to show up and worship God as you are. Yeah. If he is a creator and he loves his creation, he should welcome you like that. Wow. You don't have to do anything.
So what was the experience? Do you remember when you accepted Christ? Do you remember how that went down? Or like you said, it was kind of a...
No, I remember those.
You remember it all? I'd love to hear it.
This is just my first day of experiencing going to church.
Wow.
Yes.
First day, which is wild.
It was wild.
Because so many Muslims, from, our experience, they've seen here in the West, they've seen Christians coming out of church, laughing, smiling, and they just are drawn to that. And so interesting hearing from you, the very first time you went just completely shifted your mind.
Oh yeah.
So, okay. So going into when it was like when you wanted to make a decision to follow Jesus, how long were you going to church, and tell us a little bit about that?
I feel like I was going to church for 8 months to a year.
Okay.
During that time, I don't exactly remember the timeline, but some things between 8 months to a year.
Okay.
During that time, I remember I was just constantly participating. Every single Tuesday we had like community prayer and worship with all of my church friends and family.
Okay.
So I remember I used those time to ask questions, and because I was reading Bible at that point. My sister and her husband bought me a Bible, and I couldn't put it down. So I was constantly reading it and prepare myself for every Tuesday that I have these questions. Like, I've been reading this book. Yeah. And I do have these questions. Why did Jesus do all of this? And I remember one time I was sitting in church and I felt welcome and loved and accepted for who I am. Yeah. Worthy. I was feeling all of those things, and obviously it was a journey to get to that point. And after our pastor finished his sermon, he was like, "Who's ready to welcome Jesus?" And I was just like, "I'm ready." And I've done that. And I remember I was just so happy. I was just feeling a sense of connection, happiness, peace, feeling like I am being found. Like the verse that it says, "I was lost and I am found now." Yeah. It was so true. I feel like I experienced it because I was just going through life not knowing what's going on, and based on my past experiences and everything, and not being close to home, everything was just new, and living life with those eyes and that window, basically. Yeah. I was literally found by Jesus. And I love the fact that every single experience that I had in my life, Jesus was experiencing it too. Jesus was not the God, and is not the God who's sitting far away, not knowing what being a human life is, and how much we're going through every day, and how much pain and sacrifice and temptation all of those thoughts, everything.
Yeah.
Everything that we experience as human, Jesus has experienced it too. He experienced being a refugee, which I was. He experienced sometimes questioning things and having those conversations with God, the Father, and being open and honest about his own feelings. Those just opened the door for me to realize that I am, first of all, not alone. And he understands me more than anybody else because he walked this life with me and he understands what it is, and whatever he says that we have to do, he's done it himself. So he just doesn't say like, oh, don't do that, but he's doing it behind our back, you know?
Right.
He's not that type of God or person. And that was just like something that it was just constantly draw me to him. Every single thing that I was struggling with, I was like, yeah, you were far away from your parents too. You miss them too. I can tell you that. And you would understand it. You understand my feelings that I miss my parents and miss my friends because you went through those seasons of your life too. Yeah. So all of these lead me to welcome him to my heart. And just being instantly found by him.
So cool. Wow. I love the way you explain that. It's incredible. Like you were lost and then you were found, which is so cool. So I do have some like kind of follow-up questions to that, but I'd love to keep going through your journey first. Yeah. So you go from this season of travel. Where do you end up permanently? Is that here in the States?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us how that journey happens.
I went to Turkey after Cyprus, and through United Nations, I came to US. So I applied there as a refugee. Okay. And I introduced myself, and we have to go through so many interviews and so many steps.
And this was by yourself?
This, yeah.
Or did you have family members?
I had my sister and her husband with me in Turkey too. Okay. They traveled with me, but I was an adult at that point. So I have to go through all of this journey all by myself. And I came to US all by myself.
How lonely was that?
I came here 2013.
Wow. How lonely was that journey?
I guess I was a refugee for about 8 to 10 years.
8 to 10?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Uh-huh. But
so you're alone for those years. How hard was that on you?
Being in US?
Not having family, not having people around that you know.
Yeah.
Because you had to start your own life, build it from the ground up. What was that like?
Oh, it's so hard to answer that question because to this day, I feel so many feelings about it. Being a refugee and coming to a new country, you basically constantly, even to this day, I feel and I look for a sense of belonging. And it's hard because I don't share that common experiences that the people in my age experience living in US and grew up. Like I didn't watch Friends. I watched Friends a few years ago for the first time. So, and like the music that you guys listen to when you were in my age, you know? So it's hard to find those common grounds and have these friends and like find your roots in this country. Yeah. I love US. I love the people. You guys are so welcoming, so kind. Yeah. Always have a heart to help, reach out, and help even other countries. And I love that. You guys are such generous people. That's been my experience from Americans. But like my experience from myself, it's hard to find friends. It was so hard on my birthdays, on the Persian New Year's, because I didn't have anybody and I didn't know what to do. And I remember for years I celebrated my birthdays all by myself. So I booked this restaurant. I just go and I show up for myself. I bought myself a present and I eat and I have my dessert and I just walk back.
That is so walk back home.
But it made me so brave. I'm sorry, it makes me so emotional. Um, but I am here now.
Yep.
And I survived. And that was the whole purpose of it, for a better future.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the easiest, but a better future.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking the other day, if because in few months it will be the celebration of me getting my American passport and being a citizen.
Yeah.
I worked so hard for that, and I was just like reviewing all of these years, and I was feeling so grateful for every single opportunity. But the fact that I am living in a country that I have all of these opportunities, I can show up for who I am, and I am welcomed. Even though with my thick accent, and I have to sometimes repeat myself and all the things, I am still welcome. I am able to have a job. I am able to freely speak about my religion, and I was finally able to find my circle and people that I can lean on, and contacted them, and they contact me on Persian New Year's, and I don't feel alone. And
That's so cool.
They invite me out for my birthday, and all the things. So I finally came out all of that, but it was such a long, lonely, hard journey.
Yeah.
So imagine you constantly feeling like floating. And even if one day like situation in Iran change and I can go back to Iran, I don't feel a sense of belonging there either.
Interesting.
Because it's been changed a lot since I moved. People are using a slang that I don't even know. Yeah. And I speak Farsi. I speak Persian, but I do not know those slangs. I feel far away from them. And I feel far away from this culture too. Yeah. Even though that I've been living in this country for so long, but there is still so much more to learn. Yeah. And
can I get you a tissue, by the way? Do you need one?
Yes, that would be nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me go grab one.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry to cut you off midstream. I just didn't want you.
No, you're totally fine.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry I cried.
I should have some here. No, not at all. Let me grab it.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
You know, as we're talking through this, I just can't imagine myself going through that journey, you know, alone, and for not just months, but for years, you know, and being in another country and building your own life. And it shows just your strength and your bravery to be able to do that. I mean, I don't know many people that can, right?
Thank you. That means a lot.
So I'd love to hear you land here, you start your life here.
Yeah.
At what point did you think of the sacrifice your dad took for you and your parents? I know we talked a little bit about that, but did it set in when you were here, or was there a pull to go back there when you were here? Or did you feel like, I'm here in America and I'm going to make this, I'm putting my flag in the ground. This is where I'm staying. That was a lot of questions there. So take it wherever you want.
Fine. I never felt like I want to go back. Never ever. Okay. Especially after my parents and my family little by little left the country. I don't have anything to go back. I miss the food. I miss the culture. I miss the beauty of that country, of Iran. But do I want to go back? No. I already built my life here. Even though, as we talked about, it was hard and lonely. I am happy. I am very happy and grateful. The sense of loss. My dad passed away when I was 19. So by that point, I'm still in Cyprus.
Still in Cyprus, got it. Okay.
Could not go back to Iran.
Okay.
And I remember I haven't spoken to him on the phone for a week. And I called. I have this feeling that, it's been a long time that I speak to him. Let me just call and see what's going on. And I remember I called. They constantly keep giving me these excuses. My sisters and my mom. Okay. Like, he's showering. He's outside. He went shopping. He's doing this and that. And I'm like, it's strange at this point. Like, let me talk to my dad. So, and I remember I had a dream literally the night before that I find out, and they told me about it. I remember that I had this dream that my dad is a little baby and passed away. I don't know why. And I heard my sister crying in the kitchen because my family called my brother-in-law. Sorry, I'm going to on tangent.
No,
and so many
good.
details.
I'm following. I'm tracking.
Okay, so my family called my brother-in-law. So he told us, me and my sister. And he told my sister, and I heard her crying. And I stepped out of my room and I told him, is that my dad passed away? And he said yes. So I remember I put my Nikes on. I started running into a street. I didn't know what to do. And all I wanted was just a last conversation.
Yeah.
Just tell him how grateful I am and how my life has been changed for better because of his sacrifices. And tell him I'm going to miss it. I didn't have any of those opportunities, unfortunately. I never could go back to Iran and stand by his grave. Never experienced that.
Wow.
And to me was like, okay, he's in a better place. And it's like we haven't had conversation on the phone for so long.
Yeah.
But I know I'm going to see him. And I have sometimes I write him letters to this day, have these conversations, and something that it gives me peace is that God was my father before even my parents. And he loves me so much more than even my own father.
Yeah.
Because that's what he says. And I trust his words. And I had such a wonderful, kind father. So I always say, like, if he loves me that much, even though that I was making mistake, how much more our Father in heaven loves us. And I constantly lean back on him. But the feeling of loss, it really helped me that how much I actually lost believing in what I'm believing and being a woman, being born in Iran, have to leave my country, forced to leave my country, basically, hit me when my mom passed away. Because there's so much that I wanted to share. We never ever have this opportunity to share everything that I went through.
Yeah.
From the day that I left the country, so much has happened. I learned so much, but I've done all of it all by myself.
Yeah.
I feel like I miss a huge part of their life and they miss a huge part of mine.
Yeah.
And the fact that I cannot tell them all the good things and all the mistakes that I've done, it's sad. I miss that. And as you said, like coming to US all by myself, there's so many things that I had to learn. For example, budgeting.
Budgeting.
Seriously, it's
many people are still learning. I'm still learning. We're still.
And I get that, but if I had my own parents, they would for sure give me some knowledge.
Yeah.
Just like help me a little, give me a little basic, give me a little something.
Yeah.
So I don't go through it all by myself.
Yeah.
And these are the topics that you can't always have with people around you as friends.
Right.
It's hard topics. You don't want to open up. Ask like how much do you make and how much I make, like how should I invest, how should
what should I do with it?
Yes. So these are the stuff that I constantly miss, but like having my parents around, because I'm sure these are the knowledge that my dad could give me and my mom could teach me about so many other things. I miss those days. I miss having these conversations, and the more that I go through my life and the older that I get, I miss the value of them being around and how much they knowledge and how much they experience it and how much they even just presence means. Because when I was a teenager, I was just going through life. I never thought they're going to leave me. Never had a doubt that I have to deal with it at 19.
Such a young age.
Yeah. So I was just not even thinking about it, not preparing myself, not even enjoying everything with them, and tell them all the things that I wanted to tell them.
Yeah.
Give them an update every single week. Like, hey, I experienced this. I walked to the beach all by myself, and like I feel the sand on my feet, and I was feeling the winds in my hair. And just a simple thing. Hey, I tried this new coffee.
Yeah.
Little life experiences that doesn't mean anything to anybody. I wanted to share that with them. I wanted them to know that I am doing well.
Yeah.
And do not worry about me. And thank you so much for all the sacrifice.
Yeah.
So the feeling of loss is coming from all of these years that I missed with them. And I'm still trying to find my roots in this new country. Even though that it's been so long, it's hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like refugees are lonely, and life is so fast. We have to double up that and be faster even to make sure to catch up because of all of those years that we lost being a refugee. I feel that I have a full-time job, a side job, and full-time student because I have to catch up because I lost so many years. Now is my time to go through it and take all of these baskets at the same time to be able to survive and have an easier life when I'm in my 40s and 50s and 60s.
Wow. Yeah, I imagine that's got to be so difficult, pulled between two worlds, right?
Yeah.
And putting your roots down when it's hard. So what can Americans do for those listening? You know, what would you say? How would you encourage them to love refugees here, to love, you know, people like you that are here that are looking for community relationships, you know, people to hang out with?
Yeah.
You know, what would you say to them?
I feel like a phone call, even a text would be helpful. A Thanksgiving dinner is nice.
Yeah.
Because I always spend a lot of them all by myself while everyone else is spending with their own family and turkey on the table, you know? Sure. And I was so afraid to just share that, like, hey, I don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
Like kind of inviting myself in because it's just weird.
Yeah.
Just doing that. Just like, hey, I was thinking about you today. Send them a text. Know their New Year's if they have any. Like that is not December 30th or 31st. I received a text from one of my friends on Persian New Year. And
when is Persian New Year? Does it change every year or is it the same date?
No, it's changed.
Okay.
And it's always in the spring. It's
okay.
Usually in March, but the date is always changing. But the fact that they send me a message and they memorize it and they learn it, it's the first day of a spring.
Oh, okay.
So every year, whatever the first day of a spring is, that's Persian New Year.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That was just like warmed my heart. I felt like I built this family, that they know me for who I am and not me just knowing them for who they are and they passed and all of that, because I constantly have to learn that no matter what.
Yeah.
But it's just like an extra effort to know me and my background and the culture that I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And all of my loneliness and stuff. It just put the effort. Like, be curious.
Put the effort in.
Yeah.
So good. So I'm sure you see on the news women that stand up in Iran and, you know, stand and really all over the Middle East, but stand up against, you know, their rights and don't want to wear hijab and just the bravery that they're displaying. What would you say what do you think about when you look at the women in Islam, and does your heart go out to them?
Absolutely.
You were once that little girl.
Yeah.
What do you think when you see them on the news? Actually, two questions. What do you think when you see them on the news, their bravery? Mm-hmm. Then also, what do you think of the women that are trapped and stuck in Islam right now that, want to break free.
Yeah, I remember for the. I'm sure you know about Mahsa Amini situation.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I remember that.
2021.
Yes, 2021, 2022.
Yeah,
it was during that time, and I remember when I heard the news, I couldn't stop crying. And as you said, I was once that girl in that country for a little piece of her. Someone being killed is not okay. And someone getting trapped is not okay. You telling me what to do is not okay.
Yeah.
All of that. Obviously, my heart is going out to them first. Second, I am blown away by how brave they are and how much they had enough of it that they are feeling and they are encouraged to take in a step. You have to be like, feel up to here to be able to just like, I cannot take this anymore. Yeah. I don't want this for my daughter. I don't want this for my granddaughter. And that's the change start. So I am encouraged to see their eyes being open.
Yeah.
And they are able to take action, even though that is so scary. And it makes me so sad that they have to be in prison. They have to be quiet sometimes, not voicing what they are struggling with. And there's sometimes no ear to hear that.
Yeah.
But this is the reason that I am doing what I'm doing, kind of. I feel like I'm trying to share my story. Hopefully, women start asking questions, start being honest with themselves, start being curious, start thinking about the reason behind everything. Yeah. Just like, don't afraid to ask. Don't afraid of these Allah or these people that they don't let you to ask questions.
Right.
This is your life. This is what you're going through. So ask those hard questions. Pray about it. And I'm sure God will show up and speak to them.
So good. Wow. Well, any other message or anything you want to share now? Any kind of final thoughts as you wrap up? Or is there things we missed that you'd like to share?
Honestly, I feel like I shared everything that I wanted to share.
It went quick.
Yes.
It went very quick. We're at almost an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Which is crazy.
And I'm just so grateful. I'm grateful for you guys and your family. You guys invited me to your place, your parents' house many times. And I'm just so grateful for that. I was welcomed and I felt loved. And I'm so grateful for all of these opportunities and the work that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much for joining the show. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of No Longer Nomads. And we release episodes every Tuesday at 5 a.m. You can get the full video or the full audio. And make sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment or take a picture of where you're listening. And where you're listening at, if you're working out, if you're running, I love seeing that stuff come in. And so we'll feature you on our Instagram. And so thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and we will see you next week.